Okay, so hello Danny. The first question goes that what actually got you into metal music at first? When do you recall hearing metal for the first time?
I don't really remember when I heard it for the first time. I'm gonna guess it was probably it would have probably been back during when music television was still a thing that existed. Imagine it would have been a thing that kind of came on during that time. I grew up initially a lot of Bryan Adams, Bon Jovi, Johnny Cash. There was a little bit of very small amount of things like Guns N' Roses and stuff, but that was definitely about as heavy as it got in my childhood and in the household of what I was exposed to. And yeah, I think I've undoubtedly heard a lot more just through Asking Alexandria, because we play a lot of things like this. It's usually when I put headphones on, it's something with a piano or it's something comedy related. So this is my exposure now.
So what made you become a vocalist? Did you had some kind of like vocalist that you looked up to?
No, we couldn't find one. I was the guitarist, and we couldn't find one, and we auditioned a few people. We had one guy fly over from the US, and he couldn't get through immigration. They sent him back. We had another guy that we asked, who was in a band called Heaven's Basement, and he turned it down. And then we'd written a couple songs, and we'd written the vocals for them. So Ben and I were going to go in individually and kind of piece together a vocal take as best we could, so people knew how it went, so they could audition. Okay. And I went in first, and I came out, and he fired me and said, "You are the singer now."
So when you started doing like more harsh type of vocals, did it take like long time to figure out the right technique? And were you first doing like covers, or did you immediately started doing your own music?
No, that was that day, which was the first time I'd like really done it, was a few months before we recorded the first Asking album. And as far as technique and stuff goes, yeah, it was a very long process. It was up until about last week. I haven't screamed in a very long time when it comes to like the harsh stuff, the screaming stuff. I haven't done that in a hot minute. And a guy I met who kind of teaches that stuff had helped me walk through some things about a month ago. And it clicked about a week ago.
Okay.
So up until then, I was just very much damaging my voice constantly and permanently.
I was actually going to ask you next that were you losing your voice in the early days when you started screaming your lungs out?
Yeah, I'd probably have like between 1 and 3 good shows a tour. And other than that, it's like my voice would be in a lot of pain and struggling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question was going to be that what kind of memories do you have when it comes to the first proper European tour that you did? When it comes to like the vocals, was it like a struggle for you?
I imagine it probably was, but I don't have very many memories of those early tours because we were partying a lot, so there aren't too many memories. We were let out in the wild with absolutely no supervision at that point in time. So we were let out as a bunch of teenagers to just be like, here's as much as you want, go ahead.
So did you learn something from the first tour?
No.
Okay.
I didn't learn anything for the first 10 years.
Okay, so it was party like
yeah,
all the tours after that.
It took those years for me to learn the lesson.
Okay.
Apparently I was very bad at learning lessons in my youth.
Okay, so when you started, did you have some kind of like warm-up technique that you used for the show, and how much has that changed from there to now on?
I have a very specific warm-up routine now, as well as cool-down now. Back then I had nothing. The first time I spoke to a vocal teacher and vocal coach was in 2021.
Okay.
So it was 2 years ago. So before that I had nothing. I was just kind of winging it.
So was
flying by the seat of my pants.
Was there some kind of reason why you approached a vocal coach?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved singing, and I wanted to take it to another level in another place. And we also hadn't been on tour for 2 years, and I'd spent the entire time kind of singing what I sing and kind of singing along to the music I listen to, and then going into an Alexandria tour, which is very different.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of have my best foot forward because I was out of practice of singing rock songs.
Yeah.
So that was why I'd reached out, and it was I want to make sure that I'm not damaging my voice, because it's something that over the years I've taken more seriously and appreciate more and want to maintain and protect.
Are there like some specific foods or drinks that you wouldn't rather have before the show, that you have felt that they affect vocal cords, for example, somehow?
Listen, cheese is great. Cheese is great, but it makes me phlegmy. Spicy food used to mess me up, but it doesn't mess me up anymore. Other than that, no, I'm pretty good as long as I don't eat like too close to a show. I'm good. But I mean, I generally very clean anyway. Like, I'm not eating a bunch of processed foods and stuff. I generally just eat meat.
Okay.
So there isn't too much that's going in to mess up my voice.
So are there like some foods or drinks that you have felt that help you with the singing that you take before the show?
No.
Or some kind of tea or honey or something like that?
No, I don't drink tea. I don't use honey. I don't do any of those things. I just drink an obscene amount of water.
Okay.
And tequila.
Okay, so that's helpful for you.
No, it's not helpful. It's not helpful, but I do drink it.
Okay, so obviously you've released a lot of albums with Asking Alexandria, and also a couple as a solo artist. Mm-hmm. Are there like some specific albums that you could pinpoint where you have taken a step forward as a vocalist, learned something about screaming or singing in general?
I mean, I can't say about screaming because I haven't done any while knowing anything at all about screaming. They've all been fly by the seat of your pants. As far as singing, yeah, the Red album was the first one with Asking that was a leap forward. Before that, I had no idea what I was doing, and they're very difficult for me to listen to. The first two, because just my entire form and technique and the tonality and everything is just, it's nails on a chalkboard to my ears. The third one, I was so deep into nose beers, and you can hear it in my voice just how much drugs I was doing. And when I hear that, it just sounds painful, and it's like I could tell how much I was damaging myself. And then obviously I left. The Harlot album was pretty much the same as that third Asking album, where I can hear the damage I was doing to myself, and I could hear the effects of it. So the Red album was definitely a huge leap forward, Asking Alexandria wise. I think that's reflected in my first record, and then I don't think there was anything necessarily jump wise with Shades of Like a House on Fire was another big leap forward. I think that is to date my best album vocally. The last Asking album, it's between Like a House on Fire and the last Asking album, which are very much tied for the best vocally. I think Like a House on Fire probably take it. But even since both of them, I've made such massive steps forward as a singer. Whatever is next will be an enormous step forward from everything before this tour. The next thing is going to be like a giant leap forward.
So the next question is going to be that where do we go from here will be released on 25th of August.
Yes.
So are there like some specific things that you tried out vocally on the upcoming album? Some new things, for example?
No. No, we didn't try anything new. We purposely, I purposely didn't explore or try and reinvent the wheel in any way. It was try and hit little pieces of everything I've done over the years, and that it be a collection of that. This is more of a synopsis of thus far than the next step.
Okay.
It was how I viewed it as a singer.
So when you did those country albums, do you feel that those helped you progress as a singer?
1,000%. More than anything I've ever done. Because it's such a more particular and focused and detailed requirement of singing. It can't just be pushing a noise out.
Yeah.
Like there's so much delicacy to it that, and you're so exposed as a singer that there's a lot more focus on what you're doing.
I have 2 questions left, and the second last one goes that if you could give some kind of advice to a young metal vocalist that comes into your mind, what kind of advice you would like to give?
Don't focus on being a metal vocalist. Just learn to be a singer. Because there's vast amounts of knowledge in the world, and most of it is not accessible through the lens of and within the box of metal. Most of it is accessible in other places, but they do cross over. So not putting yourself in that box as a singer and learning just to sing and be a singer correctly, just on the broad scale, will be the most valuable thing you can do.
Last question. What were your parents' reactions when they heard that you joined a metal band and started screaming your lungs out? Do you remember?
They didn't really say anything about it. They didn't. I think they were in the mindset of like, I've always been a person where if I'm going to try something, I'm going to do it. It's very difficult to talk me out of something once I've said I'm going to do it.
So they knew it already.
Yeah, they was like, I mean, we can say whatever we want. He's going to go do it. I was already pretty much, I wasn't there, so yeah, it was, go ahead.
Okay. Thanks a lot for doing
You're very
this interview
welcome.
with me.